Hello, all. As you know, I like to watch really strange movies, mostly on Tubi, occasionally on other places, YouTube and other streaming services. Um, but this one came from Tubi, and it was just from last year, but for some reason I never heard of it. It's, I guess, kind of an independent science fiction movie called Our Man in L.A. And it was directed by a guy named Joshua Sowden. It was written by and stars a guy named Guy Birtwhistle. That's B-I-R-T whistle, not B-I-R-D. Burt Whistle, not Bird Whistle. Um, as a character called Percival Whitby. Um, uh, as I said, he also wrote it, and it also stars Abigail Kate Thomas as his daughter Bunny Whitby, Amy Motta as his estranged wife Gretchen Whitby, um, uh, Krishna Smitha as one of his friends named Anya Lal. That's Anya with two A's. I thought that was kind of an interesting spelling. Um, and a guy named Brant Rotnam as a really kind of an evil character called, interestingly enough, Dr. Christopher Mercy, as an ironic name because he has absolutely no mercy, as we find out. Um, and a couple other people. Jair Lazara Fuentes plays a diver named Waldo, who's important to the plot. There are a couple other people who aren't really that important, so I'm not going to mention everybody. But it's an interesting story because although it's a low, or I should say lower budget, it's not really that low budget, but it's a fairly simple science fiction film. And what's most interestingly about it is basically it's just a one-man show. It's all the only character you really see completely in the entire movie is Percival Whitby, who lives in kind of a crappy apartment in Los Angeles, and his roof leaks in his garage, and his apartment is really kind of shabby, and he obviously doesn't make a whole lot of money. What he does is interesting, and this is one of the science fiction elements. He sells to private collectors pieces of crashed UFOs, and he and his friend Ignacio, who is played by oh goodness, I wrote it down here. Uh, here, Denny Parker-Lopes plays Ignacio Torres, who is a diver and a friend of his who goes down and finds these wrecks, which have apparently crashed into various oceans throughout the world. The first scene you see, he has sent him a piece of a UFO, which is basically just a long cylinder with barnacles on it. And when he examines one of the barnacles, he finds that the material, it's eaten through part of this cylinder, and the material is not of this earth, as it were. He has a little computer. I thought this was kind of cool. He has a Bunsen burner that he takes one of the barnacles and puts it in it, and he heats it up. And then he takes an eyedropper and puts it onto a lens. He puts the lens directly into his computer through a slot, and it analyzes it, and he comes up that it's not from Earth, which I thought was kind of cool. How that happens without burning the computer out because you're putting liquid into a computer, I didn't know, but that's I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, they've found an intact crashed UFO apparently somewhere off the coast of Brazil, and they are planning on breaking it up basically and selling pieces to these rare collectors who are willing to pay thousands of dollars for these artifacts. They're not going to reveal it to the public because they don't feel the public is ready to have this knowledge. Um, so they're a little bit mercenary in that way, and I thought that was interestingly enough in itself. Um, he takes this new discovery that he's made, and he calls up his friend Anya Lal, played by Krishna Smitha, and he can't get her. He can't reach her at work. He can't reach her on her cell phone. He doesn't know where she's gone. He decides to go to her laboratory, and when he goes to the firm, he finds that it's closed. The building is locked, and he can't get in. It's in downtown LA somewhere, and he can't enter the building, and you find out that he's kind of a expert, sort of a lockpick. He can jury rig systems so that the electronics, are foiled, and he can get past security systems. He can pick locks. He's kind of a genius in that way, um, and he's trying to find out what's going on. And he gets a call from this mysterious character called Dr. Christopher Mercy. And he says, I understand you have something. And he says, well, what do you think I have? And he says, we both know what it is. And he says, I'm willing to give you, if you're willing to part with it, I'll give you $60,000 for it. Well, he doesn't want to do it. He says, listen, I have a very private, discreet clientele. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you're working for, but I can't really sell to somebody I don't know. He says, well, if you change your mind, here's my number. And he gives him his number. Percival he tries to see his wife and daughter. Like I said, they're estranged. His wife ex-wife, I guess, won't let him in. The only way he can actually talk to his daughter is through a virtual reality program, which is rather crude. And the characters look like something out of a cartoon. They're not realistic looking. The backgrounds don't look realistic. It looks like a video game from the 1980s. It's really kind of bad. But I think that's kind of making a point that he can't really afford a better VR setup. So they meet in there, and she tells him that he basically missed her birthday, which she didn't remember, and now he's kind of embarrassed. He goes out and he buys her a present. He's going to give it to her, and things keep kind of getting in the way of his actually delivering that present, which is one of the interesting subplots. But he finds out, again, he owes people a lot of money. He's always borrowing money to finance these projects to recover these crashed UFOs and the pieces of the crashed UFOs. And he's overextended himself, and he owes like $72,000 or something to one of these people, and they're trying to call him the dead, and he's trying to contact Ignacio to, you got to bring up the rest of the UFO. We're losing money here. And he says, well, I need more divers. I need to hire more divers, and to do that, I need more money. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So he says, he calls back Dr. Mercy and says, okay, I'll make the deal with you for the artifact for $60,000. He makes kind of an arrangement. He says, but I don't want to meet you. I don't want to see you. I don't want you to see me. You just do this way. And he arranges a dead drop, basically, for it. And he picks up he leaves the article at the dead drop, the cylinder, I should say, at the dead drop, and he picks up the money, and he just quickly glances at it and takes off. Turns out he's been gypped. The money is counterfeit. There is like a couple of $1,000s of real money. The rest of it is counterfeit. And so he calls back. Dr. Mercy says, hey, you cheated me. You stole from me. And says, well, you should be grateful that you at least got a couple of $1,000s, and, that's all you're going to get. And, don't take this any further. He kind of threatens him a bit. Well, he's not going to let it lie there. He finally reaches Dr. Lal, and she tells him that the company that she was working for has been taken over by a corporation called Holo, Holo, and that they're a weapons manufacturer, and that he shouldn't mess with them. These are like dangerous people. He asks his personal computer, or AI, to look up information about Dr. Mercy, and it kind of gives him some background, but nothing that's really helpful. That he went to theology school, which I thought was kind of interesting. That he was a minister for a while, but then he joined this company, Holo, and he's sort of their scientific advisor of some sort. He breaks into the Holo building, which is the same place that Dr. Lal used to work. They've just taken it over, and he uses these lock picking skills of his to get into the building. And she tells him that they asked her to leave, and that her pass key is probably still there. And he does, in fact, find the pass key and is able to get into he asked her, well, where would they keep it? And she said, well, they'd keep it under a file called Exotic. And so he goes into the building, he gets breaks into, gets her pass key, uses it to get into the secure area, finds something that he thinks may be a crate where the artifact is stored. Well, now he's got to figure out what they're going to do with it. He sneaks into a truck where they've loaded this thing up and puts a blanket over himself and disguises himself, and they drive off in the truck, and he goes with them. And when they take the box out and leave, he is now in the warehouse of this Holo Corporation. There's also a suit of clothing, that a hat and a jacket that have the company logo on. He puts those on in case anybody discovers him. He looks like he's just an employee. Um, and he finds the crate and pries it open with a crowbar, but the only thing that's inside is whiskey. He's been, led on a wild goose chase, basically. He's still trying to figure out what to do, and he goes back home, finds his home has been broken into, and everything's like overturned, and his computer has been stolen also. The one that he used to talk to his daughter Bunny with on the VR is stolen, and now he's upset. He doesn't really know what to do, but he finds out from his AI again where this Dr. Mercy lives, and he goes to his house and finds and recovers the cylinder from the UFO. Um, this turns out to be a mistake, as Dr. Mercy kidnaps his daughter and says, "Unless you tell me where the rest of the UFO is, uh, you know, I'm gonna drown her." And his daughter is wheelchair bound. We don't find this out until this scene. And he says, "I hope she can swim." He says, "Of course she can't swim." He says, "Well, you give me the coordinates, I'll give you back your daughter." And he doesn't want to do it, but he eventually, he doesn't have a choice. The ship is getting further and further out to sea. He says, "Okay, okay." He reads him off the coordinates. He says, I knew that's where it was." And then he shoves his daughter says, "Here's your daughter," shoves her in the wheelchair into the water, and he has to dive in and save her, which he does. And now his ex-wife is really pissed off at him, doesn't ever want to see him again, says, "Your daughter doesn't want to see you again. You almost get your daughter killed." And his friend Ignacio has actually been killed also by this asshole, Dr. Mercy, to get the location of the ship and the UFO. And he goes to Ignacio's funeral, and afterwards he calls up this principal diver, his name is Waldo, and says, "Listen, I need you to tell me, I just went to Ignacio's funeral, and there are lots of people, and I'm sorry you didn't go there. Where's the ship, and when's it coming in?" He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Look, Ignacio died because of this, and, you are helping the people who killed him by not telling me. Tell me where it's coming in." He keeps persisting with the guy, and finally he tells him it's coming into Los Alamitos at 6 p.m. So he goes to the port at Los Alamitos, and he finds the ship that's bringing it in and takes photographs of the UFO, which is kind of under a tarp, but you can still see certain portions of it. It's sort of cone-shaped. It looks a little bit like the alleged Kecksburg UFO, and or the German secret project known as Die Glocke, or the Bell. And he shows these to his daughter in VR. And she says, "Dad, you got it upside down. That's not the way it goes." She flips the image, and he says, "Oh, now it looks like it's a drill. It looks like maybe it's made for drilling." And we always thought these were just wrecks, that they were just like little pieces that came crashing down to Earth, and that they were basically worthless. So maybe this is a probe. Maybe this is something that, they sent intentionally, and to take samples. And she says, "Yeah, I think that may be right." And he's trying to, again, the wife's really pissed, but he's trying to get his daughter a job at NASA because she's rather brilliant and always liked space and always liked physics, and is good at it. And so he is persisting with that. He figures he has to recover this thing. He has to recover the UFO. So remembering that he still has the suit, the jacket and the hat from Holo Corporation, he sneaks into their facility again, breaks in, I should say, steals a truck, and drives to the Los Alamitos port, where they have this UFO stashed, and convinces the people, or at least we think he's convinced the people there, that he's, just a regular Joe. He's a driver, and he works for Dr. Mercy, and Dr. Mercy told him to come pick up the UFO. And they kind of haggle with him a bit. They're not quite certain that they should trust him, but eventually they do, and they load the UFO up onto the truck, and he drives off with it and he's going to give it to NASA. And Dr. Mercy calls him up and says, if you give the very clever, if you give me back the UFO, your wife and daughter will live. He said it was very easy breaking into their house, but he realizes that the voice is coming from too close, and he's actually in the elevator in his building, and he sneaks in and he hits Dr. Mercy over the head with a golf club and knocks him out, ties him up, puts him in the trunk of a car. He remembers that, remember I told you that pipe was leaking in his garage? He hits the pipe with the golf club, and it breaks open, pours into the interior of the car. So he's basically going to drown the guy in the trunk of the car, which is, I think, was a fitting end, because this guy is really a schmuck. He killed his friend. He was going to kill his daughter, and he would have probably killed his wife. Takes back the bag that has her Christmas present in it, and birthday present, I should say. And now he goes back and he delivers the present. He gets her the job at NASA, and because they're going to give it to her because he gave them the UFO to study. And now, things are going to work out. And I thought it was really interesting. Again, like I said, it's kind of a one-man show. It's all just really Guy Birtwhistle. You don't actually physically see Gretchen, his wife. You hear her, played by Amy Motta, but you don't see her, and nor do you see his daughter, nor do you actually see Dr. Mercy. You hear him, and you see a body, but you don't actually physically see him, which I think was a great way of saving money, and I can understand that. Plus, it gives you a very interesting perspective, because everything is first person. You are living this with him. Because of the way the movie is done, I thought it was really well done. I thought the writing and the direction and the editing, the soundtrack is good. The special effects are, they're good for a low budget film. They don't look that low budget. Again, that one kind of shaky computer, that was on purpose to show you that he didn't have a lot of money for a better VR setup. And then later, when he has more money, you see a better VR setup where his daughter actually has more human face. She doesn't look like just a stick figure, or a block figure, I should say. And I thought it was really well done, and I do highly recommend it. Again, Our Man in L.A., and it's available on Tubi for free.